Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Today, we're exploring the GSA's new OneGov strategy and how it aims to change the way technology resellers operate. Have you heard about this shift?
Absolutely. It's quite a buzz in the federal IT space. The idea of flipping the traditional reseller role is pretty bold, don't you think?
Definitely. Traditionally, resellers have acted as intermediaries, but OneGov wants to centralize things. What's your take on that?
Centralization could mean more efficiency for agencies, but I wonder how it'll impact the flexibility agencies are used to. Do you think it'll streamline procurement?
It could. With a single entry point, agencies might avoid duplication and confusion. But I'm curious how resellers will adapt. Do you think they'll lose relevance?
Maybe not lose relevance, but their role will change. They might shift from merely facilitating purchases to providing more value-added services. Could that make them more like consultants?
That's a good point. I could see them offering integration support or even training services, but do you think agencies will trust this new approach?
Trust is always a challenge with change. Agencies like stability. But if GSA can prove OneGov increases transparency and reduces costs, I think trust will build over time.
Transparency is a big one. Right now, agencies sometimes have trouble tracking what's been purchased. Do you think OneGov's centralized model will help with oversight?
Ideally, yes. A centralized platform can give better visibility into spending and inventory. But it also depends on how well the technology is implemented.
Implementation is key. We've seen big plans stumble on execution before. What technical challenges do you think GSA might face with OneGov?
Integration with existing systems will be tough. Agencies use a patchwork of procurement tools. Getting them all to talk to OneGov could be like herding cats.
Herding cats, great analogy. I also wonder about data security. Centralizing procurement means centralizing sensitive data. Think there's a risk?
For sure. Any big database becomes a bigger target. GSA will need ironclad cybersecurity measures. It's like putting all your eggs in one basket. So that basket better be bulletproof.
The stakes are high, but on the flip side, centralization could help spot fraud or waste more easily. With a unified system, patterns are easier to detect.
That's true. Pattern recognition is way easier when everything's in one place. Do you think this might actually help smaller resellers get a foot in the door?
Interesting thought. If barriers to entry are lower and processes clearer, maybe smaller players can compete. But won't big incumbents still have an edge?
They might, due to existing relationships and resources. But if GSA enforces fair competition, the landscape could level out a bit. The devil's in the details.
Always is. Speaking of details, OneGov also aims to cut down on redundant contracts. Do you think this will help or hinder innovation in the reseller market?
It could go either way. Fewer contracts might mean less bureaucracy, which is great. But sometimes, too much standardization stifles creativity. What's your take?
I agree. Innovation thrives on a bit of chaos. If everything's too uniform, you risk missing out on niche solutions. But maybe OneGov can strike a balance.
Balance is the dream. Another aspect is customer service. If resellers are less hands-on, will agencies feel neglected, or will GSA fill that gap?
GSA will have to step up. Agencies expect a certain level of support. Maybe resellers can still offer personalized service just in a new capacity.
That's possible. Maybe agencies will turn to resellers for specialized advice, while GSA handles the basics. Sort of like having a general practitioner and a specialist.
Nice comparison. I guess that raises another point, training. Do you think OneGov will require agencies and resellers to retrain staff?
Almost certainly. Any big system change needs training. But that could also spark new career paths. People might specialize in OneGov procurement.
That could be a silver lining. And maybe over time, agencies will find it easier to keep up with evolving tech needs. What about industry partnerships? Will those change?
They might. With GSA at the center, partnerships could become more standardized. But there's always room for creative alliances, especially in emerging tech sectors.
Emerging tech is always tricky. Do you think OneGov will be agile enough to keep up with rapid tech changes like AI or cybersecurity solutions?
That's my biggest concern. Government systems aren't famous for agility. But if OneGov is modular and scalable, it might just keep pace.
Modularity sounds promising. Maybe GSA can build in flexibility from the start. If so, it could avoid the legacy system trap that plagues so many federal projects.
Fingers crossed. And maybe more feedback loops with agencies and resellers can help OneGov evolve. Continuous improvement is key here.
Absolutely. Speaking of feedback, do you think GSA will involve resellers and agencies in ongoing development?
They should. If not, they risk building a system no one wants to use. Regular check-ins and pilot programs could make a huge difference.
Pilot programs are smart. Test the waters before diving in. But what happens if OneGov doesn't deliver as promised? Is there a backup plan?
Good question. There's always a risk. If it falters, agencies might demand more autonomy again. But ideally, lessons learned would guide improvements.
Learning from missteps is important. Sometimes the best innovations come from initial failures. Do you think the federal culture supports that kind of learning?
Slowly but surely, yes. There's more appetite for innovation now, though risk aversion is still a thing. GSA will need to balance boldness with caution.
That's always the tension, isn't it? Go too fast and you break things. Go too slow and you become obsolete. Finding the middle ground is tough.
So true. And with technology evolving so quickly, standing still isn't really an option. Adaptability is becoming a core competency for government.
I like that. Adaptability as a competency. Maybe OneGov is part of that evolution. Do you think other countries will watch and follow suit?
Possibly. If the US can make centralized procurement work for tech, it could become a model. But every country has its own quirks.
Quirks indeed. And speaking of quirks, I wonder how much resistance there will be from within. Change management must be a huge undertaking for GSA.
Massive. People are creatures of habit. Convincing them to embrace a new system takes patience, communication, and maybe a few incentives.
Incentives always help. Maybe a few OneGov champion badges are in order. On a more serious note, do you think this could impact pricing for government tech?
Centralized buying power could drive prices down. But if competition drops, suppliers might push back. It's a tricky balance to strike.
Pricing negotiations will be interesting to watch, and with more data, GSA could spot price anomalies more easily. Transparency could help prevent overcharging.
For sure. It's like shopping with a price comparison app. More information, better deals. But only if the data is accurate and up to date.
Data quality is crucial. Bad data leads to bad decisions. Do you think GSA will invest enough in data management for OneGov?
They'll have to. Otherwise, the whole thing could backfire. Reliable data is the backbone of any centralized system.
Couldn't agree more. Looking ahead, what would you say is the biggest opportunity OneGov brings to the table?
The chance to modernize and unify federal tech procurement. If done right, it could save money, reduce headaches, and improve service delivery.
And the biggest risk?
Implementation failure. If it's rushed or not user-friendly, it could create more problems than it solves. Execution really is everything.
So, high risk, high reward. I guess we'll all be watching closely as OneGov rolls out. Any final thoughts?
Just that change is hard, but sometimes necessary. If GSA listens to users and adapts, OneGov could be a game changer.
Well said. For everyone considering the future of tech procurement, there's a lot to think about here. Will OneGov flip the script for the better?
Only time will tell, but it's definitely a story worth following. Thanks for tuning in. Let's see where it goes.
Thanks for watching. I'm Nancy, your AI avatar. If you like this podcast, you can get one for yourself based on a website, YouTube video, or any source. Contact me to get a customized quote for your content. See you soon.